Thank you guys for being here today, powering through this. It's a great day. The opportunity to sharpen our edge, we don't have enough opportunity to do that. Today we're going to focus on something that's very passionate to me, and I know it is to a lot of other firefighters, fire officers, company officers in our industry. And that's not our unwillingness and our inability to accept change and to hold on to where we've been in the past. We need to hold on to the past, and that's very, very important to us. The name of this, I titled it, Passing Along the Inside, Past Focus Resulting in Future Success, because we're losing a lot of what we've had in the past, and we need to get back to it. So today's focus is going to be on that. This is an iceberg, okay? This iceberg's pretty important to history. This is the iceberg that sunk the Titanic. This is from a rescue crew that went out in a lifeboat to make the rescues of the victims from the Titanic. And I see quite a bit of analogy with the Titanic and the fire service. Number one is right now on this iceberg in our industry is a significant balance. The balance from the old, the past, tried and true, to the new, to technology, to social media, to gimmicks, to data entry, to apathy, technology, and rhetoric. And this will make sense here a little bit longer. We are balanced on this iceberg. The question is, for the fire service, are we going to adjust our compass and miss the iceberg, or are we going to run into it and have a significant disaster? Past focus on operational excellence has unfortunately eroded into the acceptance and practice of what I call tactical and task-level mediocrity. What does that mean? What that means is, when did it ever become okay for us and acceptable to be average? We respond to incidents, our customers, civilians, our team members expect us to be above the average. Right now, our industry, I believe there's a lot of folks that believe tactical mediocrity is okay. It is acceptable to us. I don't think so. We did not sign up to be average. I don't care what camp you subscribe to. On that iceberg is tried and true, what we know that works, what's worked for 100 plus years. Also on that iceberg sits UL, NIST, okay? Technology and science sits on that iceberg. The camps that believe that you should always be able to say never and always. In my opinion, there is always other ways to look at things. There are always options. So it doesn't matter to me what camp or philosophy that you subscribe to, but you at least need to know what it means when you subscribe to that. An example. A couple weeks ago, we were having an acquired structure burn, and I had a firefighter that was applying water from the outside, different jurisdiction, to try to get a feel for transitional fire attack. Why do you do that? Why are you doing that in your organization? What's important? How do you subscribe to that? What does it actually mean if you're going to use that application of water? What does it mean for you? I don't know. They told us to do it that way. Slicers, dicers, Revis. It doesn't matter. If you're going to subscribe to something, know what it means. Our professionalism, our ability to know our craft is based off of understanding what it is to do our job. And right now, we're challenged with that. Do not accept tactical mediocrity. Had a good discussion a couple weeks ago also with 3 other fire officers, a captain, a battalion chief, and a division chief. We're sitting there at lunch, and we're talking about the things that we believe we're challenged with right now and why it's happening in our industry. And one of those things is, what do we do when we arrive? Okay, and this is generic because I know everybody does things differently, so it's not a one-size-fits-all. Remember, why are we saying always and never? It's not one size fits all. But what is important is that when we step off the rig, it's time to go to work. It is time to go to work. As soon as we get there, we need to establish a tactical pace that's acceptable to the incident, acceptable to the customer, okay? Acceptable to the potential victim that's inside this apartment fire. And getting ahead of the incident power curve. Absolutely critical to our success and to hopefully making a grab or rescue, and if nothing else, extinguish the fire. So how do you define tactical pace? It's a question that we debated the other day. I said, hey, you know what? For me, tactical pace is this. If I arrived on scene responding to my emergency at my home, and my family was inside that house, or my family was having that problem, would the tactical pace that I am utilizing to mitigate whatever's going on be acceptable to me? And when we're out on the drill ground, think about that. When we train, when we're establishing, hopefully, these core, baseline, foundational skill sets in our individuals, working towards muscle memory and theory, how is our tactical pace? Would you be okay with your performance on the fire ground if that was your company that was responding to your family's emergency? We talk about VES. How do you know that somebody's not inside that space that we could make a grab? Well, if that was your family member, would you want those firefighters responding to your house fire to sit on the front lawn, stand on the front lawn, and debate whether that space is survivable or not? Probably not. So if you ever struggle with what the proper tactical pace is, that's how we figure tactical pace. Would it be acceptable to you and your family in your emergency? Okay? Excellent. Incident power curve. The incident power curve starts from when that fire basically starts. And our job the entire time is to get ahead of that incident power curve and to understand what impacts the incident power curve in a positive and negative fashion. So when we train with our people, we train with our individuals, teach them, train them to get ahead of that power curve. And what impacts that? When you train at your home organizations, when you go in and you make a grab, do you go in, you bring them out, and you just put them out on the front lawn and go back in? You want to talk about a change in the incident power curve is when you begin to train with actually running the resuscitation in front of the drill tower. What does it take what happens when you take 3 to 4 to 5 people out of your organization to run a code on the person that you just made the grab with? Do you train that way? How do you develop muscle memory if you're not doing that? That's going to determine our success regarding the incident power curve. How we get ahead of that and what impacts that. Train that way. Arrival. When we arrive on scene, and I know everybody has, separate different hose loads and means for stretching the line to the front door or the back door, whatever the access point's going to be. The stretch. What do we do about the stretch? What does the stretch mean? The stretch means from rig to door, from door to seat of the fire. How we advance the line. How do we attack the fire? How do we accomplish all of our task and tactical level objectives while we're inside is all part of the stretch. If we have a flawed stretch, we have a flaw in our mission. We're not able to accomplish our objective efficiently and effectively. The stretch. When did we start not thinking that the stretch was important? The other day we had some multi-company training in our organization. Other entities are coming in, and we purposely set up some scenarios where their 1 3/4 pre-connected hand line was not going to reach the seat of the fire. Firefighters into the hose line, fairly new, says, hey, you know what? We haven't been trained to address what happens when our stretch is too short. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Are you going to grab another 50 to 100 feet and throw it on your hose line? What's your plan? You better figure it out now because your life and their lives depend on it. What are you going to do? The right application for our water, our fog nozzle, solid stream nozzle, solid bore nozzle, etc. What size line do we use? If you have a gut instinct or feeling that your line is going to be too small, you better bump it up to the next size right now before you make the stretch. Tactical discipline. What happened to tactical discipline? How do we balance tactical discipline out? The faster you get water on the seat of the fire, things get better. Things get better. When did that stop being one of our primary objectives? Getting water on the fire, getting fast water on the fire. The interior. Limitations of our PPE, our SCBA, and our tools. We had some opportunities to do some recent thermal imaging camera training. And we were talking with newer firefighters that are out of recruit school, fresh out of recruit school, and asked them, how does their thermal imager work? Okay, what are we doing when we use our TIC? Our TIC is what? Our TIC's a camera, it's a tool. It's not an absolute. We have tools for the right job, the right application. Firefighters don't understand how to use the proper means of utilizing their thermal imaging camera. Okay, how does it work? Am I reading gas temperatures? Am I reading surface temperatures? What happens when my camera resets? How do I use my cold tracker and my hotspot tracker on my camera? We need to know more about our cameras than just what is on and what is off. The limitations of our SCBA. Whatever happened to the fact that we're not training our firefighters, what the limitations are of their SCBA? What is the weakest link in our SCBA and our components of our personal protective equipment? Is it our face piece? It is the straps. At what temperature does the face piece begin to break down and the polycarbonate begin to fail on your face piece? Your firefighters should know what that is. In regards to their personal protective equipment, what's the TPP rating of their gear? When am I at maximum saturation, and when is my gear going to begin to break down? They should know what that is. Going back to the old school, back onto the Iceberg again, is what happened before the technology. What happened before thermal imaging cameras? What happened when we made advancement into the interior of the compartment? How did we determine and diagnose what was going on the inside? Based off of what do I see, what do I hear, and what do I feel? About 6 months ago, I was an instructor for an academy, and we had our firefighters advancing across the interior of this compartment in a Class A fire environment, and they were using their thermal imaging camera, and we took their camera away from them, and no one on the company had orientation. The firefighters stopped, they looked at each other, and they all hit the ground and began to feel out. We're failing the way that we're training our firefighters. Old school orientation. What do I see? Access, egress, perhaps the opportunity for a rescue, VES. What do I hear? What do I hear on the inside? What happened to diagnosing the interior when we went up and advanced to the top of a stairwell and we couldn't tell if the fire was to the left or the right because we couldn't see? Being able to diagnose the interior without tools or when we lose a tool. And again, what do I feel? When am I at maximum saturation? When should I begin to back out? When I find a victim, was the victim in the means of egress, trying to get out to the exterior of the house or the compartment or room? Or were they going to another bedroom to try to grab a child or go to another room to get a person out? Does that matter? Absolutely. That follows underneath, what do I feel? On the search, there's been a lot of discussion about search today. Search, first off, we trust no one. All right, we make the determination if we have an all clear inside the structure or not. We're often faced with people that are on-scene experts on whether the structure is occupied or not. We make that determination. We have to seek out opportunity. The opportunity for the search, the opportunity for the grab, the opportunity to determine if we have an all clear or not based off of what we find, not based off of a profile, not based on a bunch of what ifs, but what we find. We clear it. we get the primary all clear. I'm going to move over here to a different area, and this is more of a public service announcement. There's a lot of stuff going on right now with social media, good, bad, or indifferent. For some reason, the fire services began, into the field of social media assassination. And here's what we need to stop doing. Social media assassination occurs when somebody that's not part of an organization, that does not have factual information about an incident, that doesn't know their resources, doesn't know their staffing, doesn't know how they do things tactically, decides to obliterate them on social media. This could be anybody in this room. This needs to stop. This does absolutely no good for our profession and our industry. This picture here was courtesy of the Good Fire Company, and I talked to them because I asked them if I could use this picture. And what is listed underneath in the text? What's listed underneath in the text is what we were putting on social media about this fire department, who in the last couple weeks made access in a multifamily dwelling. That person is sitting on the ground there in the hallway there, is the person they rescued. Doesn't matter what department it is. And these are some of the comments from firefighters, presumably, about how they should have done their job better. Again, they know nothing about the department. They know nothing about their staffing. They know nothing about their tactics, and they know nothing about their resources. If you do one thing other than embracing old school versus new school, technology versus tried and true, we need to stop this. This will not make us successful in the future. There's nothing that's good from this whatsoever. So please stop. Last but not least, it's our newest group of recruit firefighters. And it was said earlier that we need to drop our egos at the door. We're going to put a garbage can out there where we're going to drop egos at the door when we come in here to learn. These guys get nothing from any of us if we don't share. Okay? It's about the share. We need to share our experiences, new versus old, science versus tried and true. We have to share that with these individuals to make them successful in the future. These folks will replace us. And the only way they're going to be able to replace us is if we support their learning. Thank you.